Hey, and there we are. We're live. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Labor Day. We got a lovely dungeon cooldown in store here for you, friends. I'm joined by two of my loveliest friends, Rachel and Josephine, two stars of a series of romantic fan video TikToks, by the way, if you haven't seen them.
Excellent.
I
love them.
People are going wild for Narelle and basically every NPC.
Perfect. That's all I want.
Hi, everybody. How we doing? Happy Monday. How's
Good.
the long weekend going?
Oh yeah, long weekend. I was like,
I mean, right? It's technically. I mean,
what
I
long
guess.
weekend?
I know we're not 9-to-5 professionals. What am I saying? Pretending.
We're all like actors and crew folks and
Yes,
writers.
yes.
It's all the long weekend right now.
That's correct. I remember when I used to do for a short time in my 20s, I was a full-time theater artist, and so I was, eight shows a week, and I had Mondays off. And the world is not made for people who have Mondays off.
No.
It's a very strange style to get used to.
It's a 9-to-5er world out there.
Yeah, it really is. Even though I find it funny. Well, speaking of Labor Day, I find things. The fact that the post office is open only while you're at work if you're a 9-to-5er makes no sense to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you can't get
It's
there
so
on your lunch
hard.
on your lunch break, you're basically screwed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day.
I'm seeing you lovely people in chat. Thank you, Monica Arts, Johnny Valentine subscribing with Prime. Appreciate you. Dungeon Speedrun, what's up, buddy? City Racing Girl, 2-0 Mask, gift and subs. We love it. Monica Arts, how are you? I hope you're enjoying Broken Ring. We haven't seen you much around lately. Always love your art, though. Monica Arts did an amazing Rhea, that's right. And has done Otto and Saint and Coco as well. But yes, some amazing stuff. Speaking of art, by the way, I didn't even plan that. If you're a patron, we treated the patrons to a sneak peek of the character art of Bosog, Jared's character. You gotta see it.
It looks so good.
It's ridiculously good, and I think I said to you, Rachel, afterwards, it helps you picture Bosog it's much more clearly.
The perfect visualization between Jared's characterization at the table and an actual physical representation. It's so perfect.
He's a nightmare.
Yeah.
That guy?
I mean it as a compliment.
Yes,
yeah,
in the best
nightmare.
way.
It's in the eyes, it's in the teeth. Ooh, yeah.
He is scary. And Jared played that moment so well at the end of last episode where he saw the hide behind Ulrich, and just that because spoiler alert, he's basically a barbarian, right? Or he's got
he is a barbarian.
Oh yeah, that was so good.
He's the red cap is a little homebrewed, as I understand it. I want to get into some of the homebrewy stuff, Rachel, but
there's a lot.
Yeah, we know Rachel, we know Jared will love to tweak and port and homebrew some stuff as well. So I was curious how the mechanics of Bosog ended up as a red cap. Is he gnomish but also just a little couple extra bonus features?
So what I did is I spent a lot of time putzing around on D&D Beyond and making homebrew stuff through there. So I started with just a real basic base of a deep gnome, actually.
And then sense.
I took the 5e stats for the red caps, and I did a little testing myself in combat scenarios and stuff to see if these add-ons would make sense and wouldn't be overpowering. But he has some stats that we haven't seen yet, which I'm really excited about, specifically for the boots, because they are an actual part of the red caps. Every red cap has these iron boots on them. I don't know why. They do. It's part of the mythology too. So I just kind of melded the gnome stats with some of the stuff from the red caps, and I think it worked out pretty well.
Awesome. I can't wait. Yeah, I think starting next episode with the combat is gonna be very revealing in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah. I
said it on the Discord. I wouldn't be surprised if this party just is a beast in combat.
Oh yeah. When I was making this encounter specifically, I had to tweak it a little bit because this party is optimized pretty well.
They
actually.
are like, you've got Ulrich, the fairy assassin rogue. You've got Bosog, who is a red cap barbarian. Sir Camden, for as clumsy or awkward as he might be at times, is an ancient's paladin. He's gonna be just fine. And
oh yeah,
I kind of don't want to give away what Hono's subclass is, but I teased on the Discord. I was like, I know and I've seen, and don't be surprised if Hono lights it up.
Yeah, it's gonna be a real good time. I'm really excited for combat.
Amazing.
It's not gonna be easy combat.
Okay.
According to the D&D Beyond counter, it is technically deadly combat.
Ooh.
It's gonna be fine though.
Okay, I'm getting some
Get
insider
ready, cleric.
info.
Get ready, cleric.
I know. Like,
Don't tell them. I'm a big supporter of the idea though that DMs in the middle of combat need to alter their combat depending.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to just outright kill everybody. I want to make everything a challenge though.
Sure,
I don't
sure,
want
sure.
it to just be
Of course.
easy for no reason. So I think it's gonna be fine. I have no idea how long this combat's gonna take.
We'll see. Half a TPK
sure.
later. Woo!
It'll be
fine. It's the Feywild. How dangerous could it be? Yikes. I buried the lead a little bit. Rachel, welcome to your first dungeon cooldown. We're so excited, and I and so many members of our community have loved watching you in the DM's chair these last 2 episodes.
Thank you.
It's been so incredible, and we definitely got asked sort of a little bit. I've been like telling people where to find more of your stuff, and when you and I were going to do a cooldown a couple weeks ago, and then you fell under the weather a little bit, so we're glad you're feeling better. But
oh god, me too.
Seriously, but I think there was definitely kind of a like, how did this happen sort of thing, and where did she come from? How did this happen?
Sometimes they just happen. Listen.
But I mean, it was literally you and I had met through various friends and everything like that, and I'd seen your work on Girls Gluts Glory, and Kelly Lynn D'Angelo's been on the show before. She's a friend of ours, and she's so incredible as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we were looking for not just as we've been like, the idea with these different chapters is to let new voices and new people come in and tell their types of stories. And coming from your performer background, but also just your style of DMing is so descriptive and so visual immediately that I think we just kind of knew that we were like, no, Rachel's going to be great.
Thanks.
Of course. No, you deserve it. And the work you've been putting in is so evident. And so,
There's been a lot.
You definitely said on the short rest, right? It was basically like, there's so much lore and I just kind of want to dump all of it, but I have to wait.
There's pages and pages and pages of a Google Doc that I wrote, and I was like, all right, Ron, here you go. Have fun. There's a lot.
Knowing Ron, you probably made his month, his year.
I was just telling Joe, we've spent like hours just sitting here talking, Ron and I, about like plot and how it's potentially going to apply to the main campaign and some tie-ins that are really exciting, and I can't wait to get revealed, but I have to wait.
I get teased relentlessly in our community for being a tease. Basically.
Oh yeah.
Wait. Well.
Go on.
By that I mean. Going like. Oh, wait, hang up. By that I mean just like, saying like, oh, I just glimpsed something I can't wait for you guys to know, or something like that. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to tell you everything. I am a true believer in letting a story happen when it's supposed to happen and like for maximum effect. And yes.
I'm terrible, believe it or not. I'm horrendous with secrets. Like if I know, like I just want to. No. I have to tell someone. You don't know this, but on like the first episode that I did on the dungeon run, first thing I did, I feel like, was I ran back to our TD to Sean, and I told him everything. Because I was I remember
seeing you do
this.
I
have to tell someone. Like, obviously, I can't tell the people at the table, but I have to tell someone.
Incredible.
So, like, I always have to like let it out somewhere. Otherwise, who knows what'll happen?
I really liked that moment in the last episode when the cameras cut and Morgan, you came around the corner and you're like, "Is that?"
In fact, because we have some awesome questions from patrons, and one of the questions is for me specifically from Departos. How's it been listening in from the background? How many wait what moments have you had so far? I've had 3 or 4, I think. I mean, not just to mention the casual dropping of Squillation in episode 1, which, I mean, if you don't know, if you haven't watched Campaign 1, friends, Squillation was my baby. Squillation was... I dropped that name into... Josephine, I've told you a little bit about it, but basically, I've shown you the clips.
I didn't realize we dropped Squillation.
It was very subtle in just
I
a
go in a fugue
description.
state when I play.
I'll even remember it. It was when you were drinking the brandy, and because I clipped this moment. It was when you were drinking the brandy, and Rachel, you said this brandy comes from this place, and here's why you know this place, and just a little subtle mention of the name Squillation, and I was like, wait, what? We always knew. We always knew Squillation was gonna come back and bite us.
I mean, you know, he has his own area in the Feywild, right?
I did. Yeah. See, I never actually knew. Squillation for my campaign 1 character James was his cover story. He was a great old one warlock, but knew that saying that your patron is a dark, possibly tentacled being named Shothragot might get some raised eyebrows. So I was like, it's a harmless archfey. He's a leprechaun. So I dropped Squillation episode 8, and then I don't think I told everybody for another 45 episodes that it was a lie.
Yeah, Ron and I talked about that. Yeah, Squillation has his own domain within the Feywild.
Oh boy, don't go there.
Cool.
Trickery. But yeah, so I've had that wait what moment. Well, there's a big one that I want to get to, but the other one was a subtle hinting of Failshin last week. That you say again, Rachel, you just casually drop that someone rides a mammoth, and I'm like, and multiple people in chat were like, excuse me?
Me? Watching episodes to get things?
What?
Me? Huh.
Oh, Failshin.
I gathered every single... Ron helped me
Yeah.
greatly with this, but I gathered every moment that Failshin was mentioned and listened to it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, and we've talked about Failshin a bunch. I like to call Failshin evil. Failshin is not evil. Failshin's terrifyingly neutral.
Yeah. Which is
That's
potentially
a good
worse.
way
Which is
to
possibly
put it,
even
terrifyingly
worse.
neutral.
Yeah.
It's just he just dangles things in front of you, and just bad decisions get made when he's around. That's just no better way to say it. It's just as soon as he shows up, everybody just starts making bad decisions.
Yeah.
Hate
How
that
else do you
guy.
have a good time?
Right, seriously, he's like,
I am kidding.
He's like tequila. What? No.
Yeah.
No. Failshin is a character that deeply fascinates me. I love the concept of him. I love the way that he has been portrayed by both Ron and Jared so far.
Yeah.
I am very excited to get into his involvement.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, is there footage of Jared portraying Failshin?
Oh yeah, the first appearance of Failshin was Jared.
Yeah.
I need to watch that.
I'll send you clips.
I just want to. Yeah, I'm curious.
It's right after Cristobal died. Episode 9.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah, it was. Oh man, gosh.
Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, so much. The other moment that will lead us a bit deeper into the lore with Yuri, Narelle, Rhea, whomever you wish to call them. Lillian.
We should, you know what? We should just have a shirt of names.
We really should.
Uh-huh.
It's that ampersand names, but it's all of Yuri's different characters.
Yeah, as opposed to a character. That would be the character shirt, right?
Right, yes. It's just... And the name that I happened to notice, and I posted this in the Discord, and I went back and found the episode to confirm, is the name Mara. So, as a rewind for our chat, in the middle of the fight at the end of the City of Glass, as some might remember, Baron Medulon read your mind for a moment and said a name that had you lunging for his throat, if memory serves.
I mean, I guess.
I guess.
I guess that happened. Whatever, I was incorporeal at the time.
Yeah. What happens in the ethereal plane stays in the ethereal plane.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. We don't talk about it.
That's right. And I think it was confirmed that Mara is the princess of the Spring Court. Or a princess of the Spring Court.
Yeah, sounds like it.
It seems that way.
Here's a question I have, and don't answer this. I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there. Or you can choose to answer it if you want, but don't feel pressured to answer it. Who's Mara? Who does Mara know? Does Mara know Narelle?
Oh, I see what you're asking. I was like...
Does Mara know Yuri?
Well... Only Mara could answer that for you.
There's so much. Sometimes we don't even realize how much we don't know about your character. What did Rillian do to get on a wanted poster?
There's so much going on behind the scenes. I got a couple Google Docs as well from Joe, and I read through all of it just like, this is amazing from a DM perspective, especially having this much to work with. I love it. It's juicy.
I love it. When I DM as well, I talked about, because I will occasionally, I'm not as good as at Homebrew, and so I will tend to use pre-written adventures and then rework them or pull pieces here and there.
So fun.
And I like the ones that give you almost too much. I loved running Strahd because Strahd, there's 20 things going on, and if I need to fill a gap here or make a connection that doesn't quite make sense yet, I was like, oh, I've got this thing, and I'm just gonna do that,
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, it's better to have more information because then you never know what strings you're gonna pull and tie together.
Yeah,
I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Whenever we started in the main campaign, and I would reassure the other players. I'd say, like, if you see a thread, go for it, pull at it, pull at it. Feel free to dig into, like, you're not going to run out of secrets.
So many failed insight checks.
To, like, uncover. I was like, like, because I think sometimes, players in especially in, like, a professional setting are very, like, gracious about not, like, uncovering your whole story or whatever. And I was like, just go for it, because I promise there's, like, more to just keep uncovering. Just like layers of an onion is like the layers of a changeling.
You had the differences between me and Serena, where I was like, I would get the sense where I would come up against some, and then I would undoubtedly fail an insight check, or I would learn enough to go like, all right, you're keeping secrets. I've probably got my secrets too. I'm not going to dig a whole lot deeper here. I know what I need to know. Meanwhile, Serena's like grabbing you by the lapels. It's like, tell me everything. Yeah, it is. It's an interesting, I will say, and I said this after last episode, you and Jared are two of the best at the table liars I've ever seen. Where I can't even tell when you're basically it's like, wait, was that? Or I think, did she give up something there? I wasn't even sure. Yeah.
Like, I think what I told you then was that my secret is that, like, I always just seem suspicious whether or not I'm telling the truth or not.
Right.
That way, what is true? Because you sounded the same when you were telling the truth.
It's very true. Yes. Jared is a little bit more quiet and stoic.
Yeah.
Where
I bet he's good at it. He's very good.
Jared has a real grounding presence at the table, and he's a lot of fun to play off of always, just because he's another one of those, however deep you want to go, he'll go right there with you, which is really terrific about him.
To answer your question though, Mara obviously knows who I am in some capacity.
Okay.
Does that answer anything?
Sort of. It's not nothing.
If that's not satisfying, I feel like knows me enough to not have put a name right in the message.
Right in the book of poetry.
In the book.
Yes.
And you to give the book of poetry to Laura Kett.
Got it.
To go to me. You know, so like it's got to be some amount of knowledge of where I go and things I do.
Got it. Fascinating.
People I know.
Fascinating. Not a crit fail says, that's my secret, Cap. I'm always lying.
Yeah, exactly.
As a D&D player, absolutely.
Basically. I feel like something happened, you know, because we're kind of essentially... well, you know what? I won't say anything. Never mind.
That'll be revealed. That'll be revealed.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
The real Daria says, I believe everyone in the Feywild knows Narelle.
I will say
a minute.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. Everyone knows Narelle, so it's safe to say Mara knows Narelle at the very least.
For sure. What one of those aforementioned fan videos was of the scene with you and Flea, the sweet furbolg from the Winter Court. I loved that scene.
That was so fun.
It was like
so cute.
It was so James Bond. It was basically like it was like James Bond and Moneypenny. Wow. It was basically kind of how it felt. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was so sweet, and I love Flea. Your NPCs are just so
Rachel,
full and
seriously.
lovable and
Thank you.
just like have so much depth. Like you want to just keep going.
At least 3 of them are actually characters I've played before. Flea, I did for a one shot for like a Jasper's game day thing, and I was like, she's too cute. I have to Bolgar Fae. And then Ding, I was like, you know, Enclave for druids. He's a druid. Ding. Perfect. Ding. I loved it.
Oh, so cute.
He was so much fun to play.
We'll get you in that player's chair. I promise. I'm going to go back to another question because speaking
it's on video now.
That's right. Here we go, Rachel. Out of all the places that the players have been to so far, which one was your favorite to describe? And was it pre-written or not? Because I know that you've improvised some of your descriptions almost off the dome.
Oh, mostly all of them are. I have like a vague image in my head of what the places look like.
That's so great.
A lot of it is, you know, based on like Lord of the Rings and stuff that I watched as a kid and like fantasy stuff that I read and stuff like that. But I think maybe honestly my favorite place might be the carriage.
The carriage was great.
I just really like the carriage. And there was a long time where I was like, for you artists out
there, somebody draw the carriage.
Draw my carriage.
Because it's gorgeous. That whole description.
I love it. I was so tempted to put them in an onion, just do a full Shrek, but it's a little too much.
The carriage, the journey, the impromptu journey to the Autumn Court briefly was stunning, and all the apples.
Did not at all haven't even thought of what that court neighborhood looks like, because each court has their own neighborhood.
Right.
I will find out what the summer court looks like when they get there as I'm describing. I have no image of it in my head right now, so we would figure it out on the spot.
And I want to get this clear because I know I got a little confused at some point. So we have the Seeley court, which Queen Mab is the queen of the Seeley court.
Yeah.
Now, within the Seeley court, are the seasons or no? Break it down for me a little bit.
So it's so complicated, and I made it even more complicated by using these words interchangeably.
Great.
So the Seeley court is what it's called in lore.
Right. And
then that court is broken down into the 4 courts within the court. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Irish lore did that to itself.
Like they could have used a different word, but they're like, no, this word works.
To denote it. So I've tried to I use Seeley Court and then their courts kind of interchangeably, but I also try and call it the Seeley Domain,
Okay.
to give it a
Okay,
sense
yeah.
of like
Sure,
size.
sure, right.
So in the north, it's the Seeley domain, which is this
Yeah.
like gigantic city essentially, and it has 4 neighborhoods that the 4 courts within the Seeley domain
You got
are
Bronx,
put into,
you got
and
Brooklyn, you got no.
yeah, exactly, exactly. It's a Fey New York, but
That's where Bozog's from.
but very eco-conscious.
And Rillian.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the Seeley within the Seeley domain is the spring, summer, winter, fall court.
Okay.
And then within the unseelie domain
Right.
is the circle of fade, machine, oil, and stone.
Incredible. The circle of oil, I mean, you've mentioned it a couple times. The circle of oil just sounds like
Yeah.
Not to like toot my own horn or anything, but I really like I love the lore that's already there for the Seeley Court, but I really like the lore that I've made for the Unseelie Court. And I'm really excited for the group to get down there because there's so much going on.
We need to come up with like
Unseelie
a visual diagram, because I do love that, and I love the. It's actually reminding me of City of Glass too, where it's like the organic meets the inorganic, and the Unseelie Court is all of this stuff that doesn't mix as well. We don't quite know what the fade means, right? But you've got the machine. I mean, the court of the machine inside the Feywild. I shiver to think. But
I have so much lore I want to drop, but I can't. I want to talk about it so bad.
We could. I mean, if you want to post video, if you want to create a video for the Patreon where it's literally like, because I would do this sometimes too. Literally just like a 30-minute talking to yourself. I have done those videos for Patreon.
I mean, I'm really excited. I don't know why. I'm not a huge like steampunk fan or anything,
Sure.
but for some reason the lore that I've built for the Circle of the Machine is like I'm really into it.
That's amazing.
I'm very excited about it.
I can't even. I wonder. Like, it's frightening to think, but it's also like, what is a Feywild machine? What's a Feywild Warforge like? It seems so at odds with each other that you're just sort of
And
like,
do you feel those emotions of the machine, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it was something that Ron and Jared had been talking about when they were talking about the Feywild and how it was run by emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole gamut of human emotion is so vast and varied, and it can be so positive and chaotic and so dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really liked the idea that, sorrow weighs so heavy on you, and dark emotions are so heavy.
I loved the way you described that.
Sorrow goes to the south.
Yes.
That moment, that was that was a jaw drop moment for me. That
Beautiful.
was so
Thanks.
beautiful. No, it was really lovely. You're real good at this. You're real good at this, Rachel.
Thanks. Yeah. I had a really good time making lore with friends.
Yay, making lore with friends, and we're here for it. Nom 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 nom.
I will feed everyone.
Yeah. So and then so the journey that they're currently on is towards is to the south, to the Unseelie Court, to basically, and we know that the king, the throne of the Unseelie Court, is vacant. He is.
Yeah.
Now, but that's not so much what they're going to invest. They're basically, they're investigating that, but also it's like it's a hornet's nest. Seemingly seems to have been kicked up in the Unseelie Court.
Yeah.
And now
what they have
anything
been
can come
told,
out of that. Right.
Yeah. What they have been told is that they're going to figure out like the basis of this civil war that might be happening, and that there's maybe someone trying to usurp the throne.
Yeah.
That's what they've been told.
It's old school Northern Europe, like what do you call it? Like instability, and all these dukes and earls fighting over an empty throne in the Feywild. It's a combo of stuff that I really find fascinating, and I'm so excited to keep learning more about it. Yay.
I'm excited for the real reason they're going down south to be revealed, because that's not the real reason.
What does that mean? Wow, that's a big drop. Big drop.
You just triggered your noise gate on your mic with that one. That was great.
I'm getting
Yeah, they know what they've been told, but not everyone is going to tell them the truth or tell them everything.
That makes sense.
And that's something like for a lot of players I know is really hard, and it for me as a player is really hard. I want to be like so prepared before I go to do anything as a player, but it's real life.
Yeah.
Like, and in real life, people are not going to tell you everything if
Ooh.
they think that you don't need to know it.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Christoph and I talked about this last week and had a really lovely conversation about this because of how the dichotomy between Camden and Ulrich, they both, I know, immediately perfect and beautiful. But they both have this kind of ego about their relationship with the Queen, and neither of them are right.
Yeah.
Like Camden's like, well, I'm the Queen's guard. I'm the front face, of that. And Ulrich's like, yeah, but I got one up on you. I see what she's really like, and I kill for her. And then it's like, dude, you're both ignorant. You're both
no one really knows Mab.
I mean, any queen would you really know? Nevertheless, Mab, who literally changes constantly.
Absolutely. I can't wait until I eventually get to, I don't know if it's going to happen in this particular campaign, but until I eventually get to like RP her, she's going to be so much fun because she is constantly changing and she's volatile.
Yeah.
But she can still be so benevolent. She's so interesting.
Yeah.
I love that.
Classic Fae, dude. I love like classic Irish Fae.
Amazing.
I want them to be scary and powerful and like ancient, like older than the bones of the earth kind of thing.
But I am wondering if, and depending, what they learn and depending where things are going, what that will be like specifically for Ulrich, who seems so built on this, I'm in a position of privilege. Yes, I am her assassin, but I know what she's really like. You can sense, if he's playing that, kind of the status of that really well. And if he finds out it's all bull crap too, I'm really interested to see where that's going to go.
A little bit of an identity crisis?
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting if they went through an identity crisis together.
I think
because they're kind of primed for it.
I kind of think that's coming. Well, depending on
it depends.
We don't know much. We don't know, but I'm just guessing. But there's so much there's so much we don't know about Mab or about what they're being sent to do. But it's fascinating.
Yeah, I remember everyone kept before all the changeling stuff was really revealed. Before everyone was like, "Are you Queen Mab?"
That would have been
that'd be pretty cool.
Would have been automatically level 40.
Yeah,
7 auras around you all the time.
Yeah,
everyone gets a +7 bonus to perception.
That's right.
This fight was really hard, but I'm Queen Mab.
Yeah.
You've been nerfing yourself the whole time.
I can't even imagine what the stat block for Queen Mab would look like.
Right?
Oh my God. A CR 70 or something. I don't know.
What?
Can I ask a question?
Of course,
I have my notes here.
Oh yes, let's get into it. I love it.
And I was just realizing, no, this is a really tiny one actually. The Keffel horses that are on the carriage, are those the same as Kelpie lore?
Yeah. So
okay, great.
Let me lore dump for a second.
When you described and you had that story, I was like, oh, it sounds like Kelpies. And
See, absolutely. So Keffel is actually also the Welsh word for horse. And if you look up a Keffel on Google or whatever, it will tell you about there's a second word in the name that I can't remember, and it's a Welsh word, so I probably can't pronounce it. I'm learning Welsh. I'm very bad at it.
Good for you.
It's so I
feel like even people who speak Welsh are bad at it.
Every time I open Duolingo and I start learning Welsh, I feel like I'm going insane just a little bit.
The spellings.
Oh, listen, the double L sounds with you have to lift your tongue to the back of your teeth to make a sound. Anyways, it's a lot. I love Welsh. It's crazy. I feel like I'm going
some
insane.
of the nerdiest stuff I've ever heard, Rachel. Keep going.
Did you know that I taught myself some Latin because I wanted to learn more languages?
I love it.
That's the nerdiest thing.
Incredible.
Yeah, so the Keffel is the Welsh version of a Kelpie. It is one of those.
Okay,
There's
cool.
also, I think it's called the Knock in Scottish lore. It's a lot of Scottish and Irish and Welsh lore are very a Venn diagram. and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
center is massive. They
Wait.
share a lot. It's
What's
very
a
it's all
kelpie?
very
think-
How do you?
copacetic.
I
I
think
don't.
they-
This is all Greek to me. Haha. How do you
I
spell?
think they go Kelpie. They say Kelpie in Scotland
Oh,
as
Kelpie,
well, I
i.e.
think.
Yeah.
It's
So
Kelpie.
you go for it.
it's a dark fey creature that usually comes in the form of a horse, not always, but it
Yep.
acts in the same way that like a will-o'-the-wisp does in Irish folklore,
Ooh.
where they lure you onto them. They usually find like lone travelers in the middle of a bog or something. They lure you on to ride them, and then they ride you right into the bog and drown you.
It's giving me immediate never-ending
Ooh,
story
that's different.
vibes.
It's different than the lore,
Yeah.
or that's different than some of the stories that I've heard, which is like,
Yeah,
again, there's always variations on these same
always.
stories, but like, you know how I am, like just a sucker for romance, so of course I like hear all these different versions. In my head, I was like, I've heard the stories where they like appear as a human at first in order to lure in people and like sort of
Yeah.
entice them in, and then they end up like drowning them, and the only way to stop them or something is to like burn their bridle,
Oh.
like the
Yeah,
horse bridle that's
yeah.
on them, and like is the only way to like
So they're
Stop.
like siren-esque.
Yes.
Yeah. I love it.
There's a lot of folklore like that. There's one in, I think, Norse mythology called the Huldra
Mm-hmm.
that's like that.
lots of similar, yeah.
Yeah, they appear as like incredibly beautiful people, but they have like a little lion's tail and a hollow back. So they're like a hollow tree, basically. They have this like cutout in the back.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's.
And like flowers and stuff grow from it.
I
I
mean,
love lore.
Yeah,
I
this is
know.
great.
It's
I
so
was-
good.
I was super excited when he said it. Like one of my other, I have like a Triton D&D character that I played, and like Kelpies were like in the backstory, and I was like, yes,
Amazing.
Yeah.
there we go.
I really want to see more. I want to pull in more lore from like around the world. Like I want to pull
Yeah.
in like a
Yeah.
Nancy
Yeah.
as a god.
Yeah.
I want to pull in like Filipino vampires. I want to pull in
Mhm.
because there's so much beautiful, beautiful folklore from everywhere, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard not to get really inundated with like Norse
Yeah.
and
Of
Yeah.
course.
That's true. That's true. It like
and
there-
white European stuff.
yeah, it's very true. There's so much other stuff, and there's so
Yeah.
and some of it's incredibly beautiful, or incredibly horrifying, or
Mhm.
I mean, being a horror fan and a horror nerd, like it's discovering what's universal or how something shifts, like that shapeshifter siren or something like that is truly universal. There's different versions of it, or like you said, vampires are something that it's like, why is that so universal everywhere? Why does everyone have that kind of that draining energy, or someone who leads you to your doom? Yeah, it really is fascinating.
I love that. It not to be like super cliche and soppy, but I love that kind of thing connects everyone. I think that's
I
so
do.
cool.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's absolutely true. It's one of, it's why I love fantasy storytelling. It's why I love horror storytelling and all that too. Is it's the things that scare us, the things that make us laugh often, though that's often a little more complicated, or the things that enchant us, whatever you want to call it, are remarkably similar. It's just like reading Shakespeare now and going like, oh, these themes are still totally timely and apply all the time.
Oh, yeah.
It's really incredible. Yeah. I love that. And so that you mentioned this, the hide behind, the monster that we saw at the end of last episode, was based on some American folklore that you found. Yes.
Yeah,
So did you
it
fully
is.
homebrew them, or where did that? Well, yeah, curious.
So their stat block is based on another creature, which
Sure.
I'm not going to reveal because that's going to be a whole.
Yeah.
I'm very
Fair,
excited
fair,
for this
fair.
battle. It's
Cool.
going to be a good time. But the hide behind is this. I'm not sure what era. I think it's at least 1600s.
Sure.
American folklore of loggers, like lumberjacks.
Yeah.
Right.
Out in the American wilderness, and I think mostly it's in the Pacific Northwest, which is where I'm from, so I want to include all of the like Paul Bunyan crazy lore that
Sure.
the Northwest has already.
Right.
And the hide behind is basically like they sneak up on lumberjacks that are alone in the woods, and they're like right behind you. They're a shadow that's basically pressed against the back of your body. And if you don't notice them in time, they'll kill you. Yeah.
It's like It Follows, but much
Wow.
closer. Yeah.
That's
hate it.
really it.
I hate
love
it.
it. I know. They're awful and I hate it, but I love it.
Well,
There is like a horror movie about
No,
them.
and well, it's not specifically that, but a lot of the imagery of Insidious, the first Insidious movie, the first time you see that monster is one of the best scares of the last 20 years.
It's so good.
And
it is so
right
good.
behind him.
Yeah,
that little red
the mirror
face
is it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And I think if you saw him on his own, he looks pretty ridiculous, but I think it's like the hair on the sides of his head and the like Friar Tuck haircut. It's very silly on its own, but in the context of the scene, it's so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely terrifying.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I love stuff like that. I want to scare my players a little bit.
I love it. I'm all for it. You get no argument out of me. Josephine
It's scary.
doesn't.
It's scary.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's that kind of thing where I am such a believer in like high stakes in battles, and also just like, there can be sometimes an almost casualness of battle in D&D games.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's something we do pretty well here on Dungeon Run, is making things feel high stakes and never just like all right, time to sling down the axe and kill another troll, and it's like, sure, things like that happen sometimes, but I think it's one of the benefits of like focusing more on roleplay and lore and character backstory. And yes, when battles happen, but you want everything to really mean as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always run across this idea. I was in a kind of a bad game once as a player where the DM was just describing like every round of battle like it was just, okay, you hit.
Come on.
You do this damage and that's it. And it was also like I really like the concept of having players at a certain level and knowing what that means for them and their competence level.
Yeah.
Like if you're level 5, what does that mean for you in the world? Like what does that mean in terms of how much experience you have as an adventurer? Like, do you know without the DM telling you, or without it like becoming a surprise after, if you cast Fireball,
right,
like you would be keeping an eye out for certain things, and your DM can tell you, okay, you're level 5, so you've cast Fireball before, you know what the spell does, so you would know it would catch this, this, and this. I like ascribing a certain amount of competency to my players and not surprising them with stuff. So combat, I want it to feel like they are competent players, they are competent adventurers who have been through stuff and are seeing something new that they haven't handled before. Yeah. So I do want to give it a little bit of a danger. Because they are competent.
I love playing that, and I love it's why sometimes I do like, there are certain characters that I would play at level 5 that I wouldn't necessarily start, because there are some characters that I want to start at level 1 that I want, even though I hate level 1.
It's not easy.
I hate level 1, but a level 1 warlock is like the worst. It's so bad.
The squishiest.
It's just you get one spell slot. You get one.
Yep.
And no invocation. It's like it's the worst. But there are some characters that I do want to see their origin story, basically. But by level 5, you've been through it enough. There should be some things. And I do love, the first time you're casting a spell or something like that, there can be a little things you don't expect or something like that. But but still, I like that, like ascribing some competency onto players, and that's nice. I like that.
I just don't ever want to like surprise someone, like they cast Fireball and then I'm like, oh, by the way, you caught the whole building on fire. I would let them know ahead of time. Like if you do this, this is what's going to happen, because you know your abilities. So you would be able to foresee what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah, you don't punish like players for not having the same knowledge base as their characters.
Exactly, especially because when I do combat, I don't really often use maps. Because I'm a theater of the mind person.
Yeah, right.
So I never ever want to put my players in a position where they feel like they're doing something stupid because they didn't. I hate that. I hate that.
Yeah, that's
it
all.
feels so like DM versus player, and I'm not about that at all.
There's a few. It's sometimes a case by case basis because it was a heck of a moment when it happened to me in campaign 1 when I accidentally dropped Jared and Ron almost 60 feet because we were in a cliffside and I had cast fly on them, and then we started to get attacked, and I was like, I gotta distract them, major image, and I'm already halfway through describing my beautiful dragon that illusory dragon that I'm creating, and I'm watching Jared go,
oh no.
It's really an amazing moment that I can look back on and laugh now. At the time, I have never wanted to hit my head against the wall harder. I was like,
there are things like that that's like, in the heat of battle, you would.
Both of them.
You absolutely would in the heat of battle forget, like, I'm this high up and
right.
this much fall damage is gonna happen per foot, and then what concentration is. Just like absolutely would.
Just quickly. Well, and I learned that was a lesson of like always cast fly on myself, because I guarantee if I was flying I wouldn't have forgotten that. But the fact that I cast it on two other people, that I was like, they're fine, major image. Like they just go whoop. It was moments like that where you're absolutely right. It's like there can be heat of the moment stuff. And maybe if I was the DM, maybe you give somebody an intelligence roll or something like that, but I don't know. Sometimes
it can be like terribly fun, or like I feel horrible, but it's also fun to be like, oh, you made the mistake.
You sure you want to take
advantage of that?
Yes, it's true.
But I never want to make them feel like hopeless situation or something.
That's and you want it all to mean something too, right? Even if it is a failure, or anything like that, the failures should always, we say it talking about dice rolls, right, where it's like even a nat 1 can make a fascinating story. It's like
some of the
oftentimes
best. There was a moment in the end of our original GGG campaign where my character was possessed by like an evil aspect of a god, and she was attacking the rest of the party, and we had this mythic item. It was basically a time turner. It was a little hourglass that could turn the time back just enough that they would be able to save my character, and you had to make a saving throw to use it, and the person using it rolled a 1, but she's a halfling, so she had lucky. She rolled
my god,
second 1. I mean, imagine what that does to the story. It was an incredible moment where we all just it was so good.
Right,
it was
where
2 nat 1s.
You're like, and no, and then your storyteller brain's like,
that's disintegrated. The item disappeared, and they couldn't save her. But what a story!
What a story!
Yeah,
and what a moment.
Ones can make the most painfully good little moments.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm so down for them.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's just those moments of just it is that thing too when you specifically people who are new to the game sometimes, and they're used to seeing it as a game. And I remember talking to my friend who was an actress, and I was teaching her D&D, and she was like, she had a bad first session as far as rolls. I don't think she rolled above a 10 the whole day. And she was like, I just feel like I suck. And I'm like, here's the thing though. That's such a good performance opportunity. like your character has now failed at the last 5 things they've tried to do. What does that do to them? What does that do to them? And how does that develop? And where does that go? I mean, with and you've seen it, Josephine, with Valcorio, I kept failing and my echo would always succeed. And it kept playing into this, and it was the dice helping me tell the story that that Val's echo is an idealized version of him, and he's a screw up. And it's so good, but it was literally the dice were helping me tell the story every time. It's like
perfect.
Oh,
so good. You can't plan that.
Yeah.
2O Mask said it too. Hilt Steel in campaign 1. Jared had a role in one of our biggest fights where we had a literally called the Godslayer blade, and Jared activated it in a really beautiful, heart-wrenching way, and then it was stolen from him on a failed roll. And he was a rogue.
No.
It was a dex save, and he's a rogue fighter, and he failed.
Oh,
It was
That's so good. That's
absolutely
terrible.
brutal.
It's so good.
And the consequences of that roll were massive. Yeah.
I love stuff like that.
I
Oh
know.
my
yeah,
god.
I love it.
Josephine, I got another question from you from
Yeah.
Tapartos, which is just getting back to, we were talking about the NPCs earlier, or I mean, I guess this is the PCs as well, whichever way you want to take it. What's been the best character interaction one of your personas has dealt with so far? I'm loving.
Oh my god, there's so
range.
many.
I know. I'm loving yours and Camden's. I mean, I joked that Camden is a target for everybody, but in all different ways.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I love Camden. Oh, what a character.
Oh yeah, I do
Camden's
love.
got a target on his back.
Yeah, when
Oh,
it comes to the PCs, I do love interacting with Camden. I
Yeah.
think it's just so he's so proper, he's so shy,
Yeah.
so it's really, really fun. But I would love to like poke like Bosog and Ulrich more, because they're like these, like
Right.
work for the Queen Mab, who are like very serious, like take their job seriously and all these things. Yeah, I think they're very like self-sufficient. So I hope that I get to like save their asses in some way. Just so, like,
For
you
sure.
know,
Well, I mean, you
like,
are
they
the cleric.
they have so much, even if it's understated, but like there's ego there
for
that's
sure.
clearly
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
and so I would love to, be able to play with that a little more. As far as the NPCs, that's like really hard because every single one has been so much fun. Like the interaction with Laura Cat, loved it. Interaction with Flea, loved it. The warehouse like moment with Lucius,
Yes.
loved that. Like there's nothing that I haven't enjoyed, and it is so much fun. Like also having to switch like personas to do them too.
Yeah.
I love watching you switch personas. It's been so much fun.
Yeah. I was really curious to see it was subtle, but I was like, the difference between your interactions with Laura Kett and Bosog, Alric, and Camden with Laura Kett was almost contentious, with
Really?
the three of them and Laura Kett.
I didn't see it, so I don't know how their interactions went. Was it?
I mean, they were sort of annoyed. Ulrich, I think, Ulrich was again playing the very high status of like, like, come on, just tell me, and all this stuff. And,
Yeah.
and Laura Kett has to keep it pretty close to the vest.
Yeah, it's a lot of like that desk worker that you always see in between you and your boss. And you're like, okay, tell me if I'm going to be fired today. And they're
Okay.
like, I can't tell you.
Right.
I'm here to be a messenger, and that's it.
I'm just Faye David Bowie. Leave me alone.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't have the Feywild without having a David Bowie
exactly.
in there.
Dude, David
I
Bowie
like-
needs to be in
Loved it.
there, and Tilda Swinton's got to be in there somewhere.
Oh, just wait. I came up with Lorca in the middle of the night after a dream. I like sat up in bed and I was like, I have to write this down. And I just started writing down the
Beautiful.
description of him. And I was like, oh, it's David Bowie. That's what it is.
Well, and
I
it's,
mean, yeah.
especially
I
for your
pulled a lot.
players too, it's so easy to visualize. You're just sort of like,
Oh, yeah.
it's-
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so
You're like, oh.
specific and immediate.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I pulled a lot, like even in making, like Yuri's true form.
Yeah.
It was a lot of like Tilda Swinton, like sort of body type was like this, like both of them, Bowie, Tilda Swinton,
Incredibly
this like
fey.
lanky, like but like lithe and long and just I don't know.
Well, and you said, I think you said before, Josephine, that the Final Fantasy games tend to inspire you
Oh yes,
visually a lot.
yeah.
Oh,
Now
too.
that it's revealed,
yeah.
we haven't spoken about it. Yeah, it's like Sephiroth, 100%. Like
I forgot to bring that up on your character sheet. The image is Sephiroth.
Oh, yes.
And I was like,
Wait a minute.
what game am I playing? on?
Yeah. In D&D Beyond, my image, my little image for
Yeah.
Yuri is Sephiroth. Yeah.
That's
Love it.
incredible.
I mean,
It was a surprise, but yeah, I see it. Absolutely.
yeah. And I hope it, knowing the reference to, like, just makes everyone even more confused.
Don't-
Sephiroth is, listen, very confusing.
very
I
confusing.
You know,
understand.
if you played the precursor, oh gosh, what is it called? My mind is blanking, but all of the backstory stuff, you're
Advent
kind of
Children?
like, no. That's the movie that came out, right?
Yeah.
There's the game. I just played it.
Tactics? No. 7?
No. Nope. Someone help me.
I'm
Where
I'm
playing,
you're reaching
you
the
play as Zack.
outskirts.
You
Okay.
play
Yeah,
as Zack.
I'm more of a
doing
Kingdom
squats
Hearts
at
Crisis
person.
Core.
There we go.
Thank you,
Ah!
Agramonia.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dungeon
Play
speedrun
that.
right
It
behind.
gives you it's all like a prequel to the events of
it?
7. Yeah, and it's great for Sephiroth, just like depth.
I love
So
it.
I never completed 7. I have it
I haven't
on
played
my
the
Switch.
original. I've only played the remake.
Yeah.
I played the original
Um,
back in the day for sure.
I played 8. I have completely forgotten all of it, and I played 10 and 10-2, and I was obsessed.
Oh, 10
10
was
and
what
10
I
too.
grew up with, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And then I got into Kingdom Hearts, and that just absorbed my life. I don't know
I
what it is.
I totally recommend the 7 remake though, for sure.
I've never played Kingdom Hearts. Gabe Hicks used to talk all the time. We love you, Gabe. About like a lot of his inspiration has like he uses Kingdom Hearts all the time for his DM inspiration.
I was one of those kids in high school that was a hardcore, terrible weeb. Incredibly just the cringiest kind of person that you can imagine in such a genuine way. And Kingdom Hearts was massive for me. Like, I would be drawing the like heart pentagram thing on my hand every day in Sharpie. It was just, it consumed me in a way I can't fully describe.
I love it.
I love it so
Yeah.
much. That's so good.
I tried playing Kingdom Hearts and it like ticked all of the right boxes aesthetically, but then I just got stuck and never went back. Like, because as a kid, I
Yeah.
guess like what happens, you get stuck and then you just never play it again.
Oh yeah, I stopped playing like Devil May Cry for a very long time. I skipped games because of this one lava tarantula battle that was impossible.
I'm still. I mean, Elden Ring was my first introduction to like the remind me the other types of games. That
Dark Souls.
The Dark Souls, thank you.
Dark
That
Souls
I've
and
never
Bloodborne,
really
yeah.
played very much of, and I had several friends that were like, "Oh, get ready." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it's a
You're not
style that I'm
prepared.
not used to."
You're never prepared.
Yeah.
Even if you played them before you go in, you're never prepared for how hard it is.
I held off
Yeah.
on next gen video games for a while because I knew they would ruin my life.
Mhm.
Because in college I got super into the Elder Scrolls games, and I was like, and I lost days, and I was like,
Gone.
most
Just
of my 20s and 30s I stayed away from a lot
fully
of
absorbed in
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
haven't played the Bloodborne or Dark Souls, but I love the lore so
Mhm.
much.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's such tasty lore. So I just watched Alex Ward play.
Fair.
That's how I know what happens in the game. is
There you
because of
go.
that.
Just watch someone else play it. That's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
It works.
amazing.
Yeah. I definitely have a Final Fantasy problem, but like
We know.
all
We
it,
know.
it influences, it seeps into like all of like
Sure.
characters I do, because I think I've played everything eight onwards,
Mhm.
and then the 7 remake, and so I'm just like,
Was it
right now.
9 where the main character was Zidane?
yeah,
I think I remember the
Yeah.
the cover
yeah,
art of
because
9.
because eight
Yeah, I
it
like
was
that
the
one a
other 8 was the other moody boy, 9 was Zidane and kind of more
Squall.
chibi looking, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I liked the
Yeah.
characters in 9, but I never finished it.
and then 10 has my heart
Yeah.
in a grip, always will.
Same.
But I will say I didn't play the 7 remake until recently, and it is a very close second to 10 for me. Like the remake is fantastic.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, Dungeon
Mhm.
Speedrun confirms 9 was
Romance.
the cartoony one. Yes, romance.
Yeah.
Taparto says that's me in Warcraft. 19 years and counting. Wow, dude. That's a lot. Well, and you
I
just
played World of Warcraft once, and I
I've
cheated
never.
because my friend had an account that she and her parents had together because they play not D&D, they play WoW together. And I did a death knight on her account, and they start at level 40, so I cheated.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's pretty
just
cool.
like, I'll just take one of these.
Mhm.
I don't want to
Hey.
worry about dying.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
It
the
was
only
nice.
games. Oh, sorry. Was
No, go ahead.
the only games I've gotten like sucked into in like a we need to reassess our connection here was StarCraft
Mm-hmm.
2 and Overwatch as well. Like the amount of hours that I put in. But StarCraft, I was like, I memorized like the, like flow charts of what builds lead to what, and it's why I have like a freaking 16 button mouse. Like it's I was just all in because like my eye hand coordination is I think from playing piano is like very good.
Sure.
And so he's like I was like, where my actions per minute here, I can get in and like just had everything hotkeyed under my thumb to just like go. I was just, oh man, StarCraft 2. But I was also playing when like I couldn't speak on a mic online,
Sure.
And so it was like, anyway, it didn't last super, super long, but it did consume me entirely.
You mentioned that, because I know we were asking about this, you mentioned off camera that the poem that you pulled out last episode was partially due to absolutely amazing.
Gorgeous.
You've been playing Ghosts of Tsushima, and you've been doing poems with Ghosts of Tsushima.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, I was just playing Ghosts of Tsushima probably earlier that day. I think so, earlier that day, and it's like part of the game mechanic is like you stop and you like do haikus and like beautiful settings.
That's lovely. I did not know that.
Yeah, around like nature or whatever, and I was like, all right, let's
Jessica
go.
pimped you out hardcore, and you're like, fine. It was incredible.
No,
what a moment.
And there was a part of me that was like, oh, they're probably expecting like a funny comedic thing, but you know what? Let's go.
No.
That kind of moment would absolutely terrify me. I can't do poetry on the spot. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just a nightmare for me, and you handled it so beautifully. That was so gorgeous.
We are always willing, and our audience is the same. Our audience is we cry and we laugh often in the same breath, and it's one of the beautiful things about D&D. It's what we love. And but yeah, it is funny because Christoph said something similar where I think because so often like the clips we post to the show are funny and all that stuff, and because that's what works, in like a 20-second format or something. It's hard to break down a 10-minute long conversation where you're all crying by the end into a clip for TikTok. But it's like, we commit, as we say, it's like, and that leads you all the places. That's really beautiful. No, it was beautiful.
I mean,
yeah,
all of the people at the table too are very like they're industry people, and I feel like I got into acting because I want to make people feel.
Yeah.
And
I want the whole gamut.
Also why I DM. Yeah. I want to make people cry.
Yeah.
I want them to laugh. I want them to have a good time. I want them to look back, and I want some memories to be painful.
Yeah.
I want it to be real.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want it to be real.
It's that cliched answer when you get asked about like, do you like comedy or drama more? And I was like, it's all human emotion to me, baby. Like, give me all of it. I like comedy in my drama and drama in my comedy. Yeah, it's so true.
Make me cry and laugh at the same time.
It's agreed. And on that note, my friends, I feel like I could just keep talking with the two of you forever. But it's a wonderful Labor Day, and we appreciate you, friends. It's after 2 though here. We're gonna let everybody go, but we appreciate this. Any other questions? We did have one question. I'm sorry. This is one of the last things we wanted to talk about. We talked about it before the show. Katie Scritches asks, and Josephine, we did mention in the short rest. So this episode, this week, not to go into too much detail, will be Josephine's last episode of The Broken Ring, where there's some travel arrangements and some scheduling that's happening.
I'm going to Europe on Friday.
This has always been part of the plan. So Rachel and I know a little bit that we can't tell you all just yet, but there are some surprises coming. Not only how Josephine's character, how Yuri, Rillian Norell,
why,
how they will be leaving, but also who might be replacing them.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
We're very excited.
I am very much going to miss you.
I know. I'm super bummed. I'm not going to get really to play at this table, but I am excited for who y'all are. Who's coming in.
It's gonna be amazing. But also, Nota Crit Fail says, how? Agreed. I don't know what's going to happen. Well, and it's also not what also fully hasn't been established yet, though I think we have some ideas, is where in the timeline of Yuri this is.
This will make it very obvious.
Okay, copy that. Copy that.
Or more obvious, at least.
Right. But also time is weird.
Time is
It's
weird.
also the Feywild.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, that's something we've established, that time is weird, and that is also something I'm very much playing on.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
this
yeah.
will at least put it in, I think, the time frame of what the main campaign is.
It will at least place
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
if not ascribing a specific period of time here and there.
Mhm.
Yes.
That was something
And-
that Ron and I had talked about, is like melding the two so that there are
I love it.
hints for things
Yeah.
within the main
Yeah.
campaign that happen here, and then things in the main campaign will affect what happens
Oh,
in
yeah.
this campaign.
It really,
Right.
I'm loving it so much. It's what we wanted when we decided to do these chapter stories, because also, life and scheduling is hard. So, Ron can't, DM constantly 100 episodes in a row. But it was also just the idea of like, well, let's change it up. Let's give people new places to jump on and give new voices and all of this, but also connect it all. Because I love that, and I know our audience loves that too, where it's just like catching a like, oh wait, that from this, that again, the mention of Mara was like, oh, it's like, and again, you don't know everything that it means, but just tying little strings together in the coolest way. We love our red string conspiracy boards.
There's going to be some really fun reveals for people who know the main campaign, as well as people who don't. I'm really excited.
It's that thing of it's satisfying in its own right, but then also if you're there, if you're all caught up and know all the lore, it's even more, it gives it even more depth and complexity in a beautiful way.
There's some deep lore that happens.
I love it.
And there's going to be some reveals that are really, really integral to the main campaign as well.
Yeah, can I just add, it's been really interesting.
Not a crit fail says I'm running out of red string. Go ahead, Joseph.
Get more.
Yeah, but it's like, this is about to get super complicated, but playing in the main campaign, and then in our main campaign, we went into a flashback into history, experienced all the stuff with the oil and the deer in that one and affecting nature, and then being in this like mini-series in between, and me just sitting there being like, oh my god, all my notes are the same from the other game.
Gonna
like,
need tabs.
and I'm just like, I see, but I don't know this right now. But my
Little meta
character,
knowledge,
I'm just like, okay, all right, this is what notes are for.
I'm happy I'm not playing a super high intelligence character. Val's not a dummy.
Right?
Val's not a dummy, but he's practical. He's like, wait, what do I need to know now? Hang on. He's given up on trying to understand all the godly workings a long time ago, and he's like, what do I need to do right now? That's basically how I deal with that.
It's really cool to see all the connections, and it's clear that you guys did so much work into it, and it has me so excited to be back at, like, when we get back to our campaign is to then collect all that together. Like,
so much good stuff. Yes. And I mean, I think we've even said this, but I mean, the hope is, the hope is this is but a chapter of the Broken Ring, and then we revisit it later as well, because as if you can't tell, Rachel's got a lot.
There's so much.
got a lot to spill.
There's a whole deep, like, other storyline happening that we haven't even touched. There's so much. Listen,
I love it so much.
I planned a lot.
It's so good. All right, friends. We love you so much, guys. Thank you for joining us here in chat. Have a we'll see you on Wednesday. That's only 2 days from now. But yes, so rest up, feel better, and thank you for joining us, everybody, here for a great new dungeon cooldown. The VOD of this will be available on Patreon, patreon.com/dungeonrun for all kinds of new stuff. Someone says, I have no idea what's going on. I saw the faces in the preview and I tuned in right at the end. Hello, we're the Dungeon Run, and this is our chat show where we get all kinds deep on lore and stuff. I'm saying it at the end of this time. But we love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for all your support. Monica Arts buying subs. We appreciate you. Tuo Mask, to Partos, and everybody else. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Happy Labor Day here in the U.S. And with that, humankind, be both.
Be both.
Bye, friends.